Yo guys, this is Reinhardt. I have a quick big achievement today. I actually got up to 40,000 views in one day. This is pretty damn awesome. I really appreciate your views and taking time to watch my videos. But this video is not going to be about my channel, so to say. It's going to be about what I think about decays in the next patch and my suggestion, like everybody said, on demand. So the very first thing I want to say is decays are lacking some of its survivability, sustained survivability, and the conversion talent is actually going to take care of it. It's amazing. But the biggest thing I want to say about the conversion is that when the warrior and feral, for example, two classes pop all their offenses on decay, they're still gonna croak with the conversion up. And the biggest thing is conversion requires runic power, initial runic power. So if they're gonna do a big strong opener on you before you get a chance to build some runic power with the conversion, you're gonna croak. So my biggest suggestion would be either to make Ice and Fortitude 50% damage reduction like it's for blood decays, just a baseline, or give us a bone shield baseline. And I think the bone shield is gonna give us initial some of the damage resistance against their big huge ass cleave, and then we can actually get some runic power and start actually surviving for quite a good amount of time. So that's my suggestion about decay survivability. Just a bone shield or buff IBF. That's about it. With conversion we should be in a really good spot. I do not want to overbuff our defenses by any means possible. Now that's the first one. The second, my suggestion would be decays are lacking a big time of pills, big pills. So and a strangulate and a CC. So the first thing is change the strangulate is really nice. I would actually suggest make it strangulate a cost of a 20 runic power, and that's about it, because unholy is all designed about getting those blood runes, converting them to death runes as much as possible so you get stacked some of the necrotics, and unfortunately strangulate casting blood rune actually puts a huge damper on that. Maybe make it cast unholy rune, it's actually better for unholy decay than actual blood rune, or the biggest thing is just make it cast 20 runic power. Now the second change would be make actual Glyph of Death Coil that puts a 16k absorption shield. Now 16k is nothing, it's like virtually like what, 4%, 4.5%. It's nothing, it's very little. In my opinion, make it this one. Make Death Coil Glyph, put absorption on your ally for, let's say, about like a 40k for Frost, 60k for Unholy. The reason I'm saying higher for Unholy, because Unholy lack a huge series of bursts, so they need some sort of like a variation and higher utility. So make maybe Mastery affect Death Coil. So let's say make it a 40k baseline, and then with a Mastery for Unholy, it's gonna get up to 60k absorption per Death Coil. Now, this is the stuff where Death Coil also gonna put like a debuff on the target, sort of like a Shadow Priest shield, where you cannot Death Coil that ally within 10 seconds. So you put absorption for 10k from a Death Coil on your ally, and then it's gonna have a debuff on it for about 10 seconds where you cannot refresh and put another Death Coil shield on them. So first of all, the biggest thing is for PvE. Blizzard said they don't want to overbuff Death Coil Glyph because they want actually to have a healers in. So I think that it kind of takes care of it quite nicely, because if there going to be internal cooldown on how much you can actually Death Coil your ally, then that means that for PvE it's not going to be the most amazing thing. But on the PvP, on demand 60k shield from Unholy will actually help us a lot in terms of peeling. So that's my second biggest suggestion. And the third one is actually has to deal with the Remorseless Winter. Either make Remorseless Winter as 3 seconds and this it lasts for 5 seconds. It needs 3 seconds to get a stun off. Nerf the stun duration to 5 seconds from 6 seconds and make it undispellable. So it will be easier to get it off. Much easier, because in high-end arenas everybody knows how to counter Remorseless Winter. So it will be less of a possibility to counter, and at the same time it will be actually quite of a useful talent. Or remove Remorseless Winter completely, and what you need to do is to give us a 40-second cooldown, 3 seconds AoE horror effect, so we can actually peel for our allies. If they're gonna introduce those changes to decays, then decays will be sitting at a really good solid representation. We're gonna actually bring it to the table a really good amount of peels, good offensive dispels via Icy Touch. We are going to be giving shields to our allies, and we have a decent amount of control to actually use it when it matters to peel for our allies. So that's my suggestion, and I'm going to make a post about it tomorrow in World of Warcraft forums. Unfortunately, I cannot do it today because I am quite busy. I had to make a Russian video, I had to make 2 videos for my Russian channel, 2 videos for this channel, and they, believe it or not, take a really good chunk of my time. So I spent about 5 hours today just working on my 2 channels. So I hope you guys appreciate all the work I'm putting in, and thanks a lot for viewing and subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate the viewers. And today I'm gonna be drinking vodka with my subscribers, get on them on my fan channel, and we're just gonna talk and have a lot of fun and drink vodka. For the only thing, I'm gonna have one requirement: you guys gonna have to have vodka or some sort of alcohol and do a Skype video call with me, where we're gonna be just drinking both together at the same time. And that's how I'm gonna get on Skype with my subscribers. I think that's gonna be actually lots and lots of fun. For those people who are under age of drinking and not allowed to drink, I can completely understand it, and I can actually get you on Skype as well. But for people who are like 18, 20 years old, get some alcohol, my friends. This is gonna be very, very fun. So thanks for watching, guys, my weird ass vlog and the decay changes suggestion. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna completely stop here, and I'm gonna actually talk about one thing that everybody asked me to talk about, is enhancement shamans and the red polys. The thing is, the funny thing is about decay is it's becoming more of like a, what I like about decay, it's kind of a hybrid between a warrior with a conversion now, with some tunnel vision damage, and also a hybrid between an enhancement shaman with offensive dispels on the icy touch. It's somewhere sits in the middle. But let's talk about the enhancement shaman and red paladins. What I think about them: I think they're very, very strong classes. The only thing is I can see is that they have some of the, like, just a low number mechanics, and they have some sort of a gimmicky, like enhancement shaman is forced to be a dispel bot, so he purges, which becomes extremely strong against for example frost mages who are using their shields, against the maybe like druid healers, against the disc priest, against the rest of shamans, because our shield is now dispellable. But they become actually eventually weaker against the holy paladins, because there's not much they can dispel, and holy paladins is a lot of instant cast. That's where wind shear is not helping them. About the reds, they're kind of sitting in between. I believe they can actually rise in representation. One particular factor is because they are actually gonna have they're actually gonna have a better healing. So I'm not 100% sure to say about the red paladins. I think for red paladins, one of the biggest things they need to do maybe is to make their repentance, reduce the cast time of repentance down to like 0.8 seconds. So it's gonna be much easier for them to get it off. Another change what I say is to red paladins is they do a lot of damage when they're bursting, but when they're sustained damage or sustained healing is a little bit on the lower numbers. I think switching a few damage from their burst down to their sustained would actually seal the deal for paladins quite nicely. For enhancement shamans, I think that first of all, what I think, they nerfing Glyph of Purge to where it is puts a purge in a 6-second cooldown. I guess it's fine, but enhancement shamans do need a healing buff, and they are actually getting it. They have a grounding totem. I think that would be really good for enhancement shaman right now is to actually reduce the cooldown for a grounding totem, because it's kind of gonna increase their utility and it's gonna increase their viability, so to say. For enhancement shamans, I also would like to maybe switch a little bit again from their burst, because their burst is incredible, but their sustain is kind of on the weak end. So switcheroo, make it a quick switcheroo there. Keep the Glyph of Purge, I think, the way it is for enhancement shaman, where it's, well, actually no, remove, like, I like the Glyph of Purge where they don't just simply spam purges all the time on offensive dispels. That's perfectly fine. The only thing is like, they need a little bit of a buff to sustain damage and a little bit of a nerf to burst. So I would say maybe like take like 15% damage of their burst, add 25% damage to the sustain, so to say. I think that would be a perfect allocation of stats. Reduce the grounding totem cooldown for the enhancement shaman. Probably give them a little bit higher resistance in damage against the physical damage dealers. And I would say maybe, I think just in general, shamans need the Astral Shift baseline and make it usable while stunned, and make another actual talent instead of Astral Shift out there. Just increase their overall survivability, and the shamans need it actually. The ally shamans kind of need it. I think ally shamans are in a good spot because they can actually go back. Their defense is quite actually nicely, because if melee has to be forced to come out there and DPS enhancement shaman, they have two different schools and they do actually lots of damage. So giving them Astral Shield baseline, I think is gonna be fine, and they should not be whining about their defense anymore. But Astral Shield is actually very needed to enhancement shaman and rest of Shaman at the same time. So those might touch bases about LA Shamans and Red Paladins. I'm sorry, I'm not 100% familiar with them as a classes and where they stand for, so I think personally from my perspective, that's what I would have done with the Enhancement Shaman. And I will make a post on the Blizzard WoW forums tomorrow about the DK changes. So let me know what you think about my suggestions in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the stream today, and I want to say thanks everybody for watching, and до свидания.